Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It's 7:07 on O'Connor and Company. Thanks for tuning in here as we try to do our best to look in the rearview mirror, evaluate what happened yesterday, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and live to fight another day. Coming up in 30 minutes, Tim Holbert, president of the American Veterans Center. And at 8:05, Mark Halperin will give us his analysis of what happened in New York. As well, the mask is off now, Julie Gunlock. I think that's one of the biggest takeaways here. They're the Democrat Socialist Party. That's where the power center is. That's where JFK and Bill Clinton's Democrat Party is dead. This is the Bernie Sanders, AOC, Zohran Mamdani party. And that's what, listen, they say in war, know your enemy so you can defeat them. And in politics, know your opponent. Know exactly who they are. And now there's no guesswork about it. Mm-hmm. Joining us is Katie Gorka, chairwoman of the Republican Party of Fairfax. Katie, gosh, what happened?
Oh, Larry, it's quite a morning to wake up to. It was the Democrats really ran away with it. I think it was, honestly, I think it was even worse than we expected. Spanberger, I think, won by 15 points over Winsome, if I'm not mistaken. And the fact that even Jay Jones won over Jason Mayaris, Jay Jones with his terrible record. But, look, you really have to look at the bigger picture. I know that we as Republicans were very focused on Jay Jones wanting to shoot his political opponents and see their children dead. But the bottom line is that's not what the Democrats were thinking about, right? They were able to somehow put those things aside and focus on what they care about. And it's not the things we care about. And the bottom line is, they are now going to have to live with the consequences of their choices. And I think you're going to see some really serious changes in Virginia. You're going to see rising energy prices, rising taxes, rising crime, assaults on the Second Amendment, less power for parents, more power for school administrators and unions. And sadly, I think Virginians are just going to have to learn the hard way what their choices mean for them politically.
The thing is that it's just amazing to me. I even saw some people last night on X saying, well, look, she's a moderate. That's why she won. And they said it as though they actually believed it. These were people on the right that were saying it like, well, people prefer a moderate. How much does that play into this? Just pure ignorance on the part of some of the voters who didn't know her record, who didn't know. I mean, she's on record saying, like, it's fine that, we should allow anybody in any bathroom, we should allow, we're going to, take away, your right to defend yourself. I mean, she's on record with a lot of this stuff. She is no moderate. I mean, how much does that play into it? Just the misinformation of voters?
I think a lot. I think a lot of it. But I would say, look, Julie, I think you raise a good point. I don't think it's misinformation. Well, no, let's put it this way. It is misinformation. I don't think the problem is ignorance of the voters. I think the problem is conservatives do not do enough to invest in information. And the problem is you still do have what we call mainstream media. You still have the Washington Post. You still have all those sources that are willing to feed people these lies. And so that's why they believe it, And until we do a better job of getting the message out there, I think we're going to keep losing elections.
What does that investment look like exactly? Because obviously Republicans were outspent by an extraordinary amount. Yeah. And it's not like Republicans had to spend money in primary. But you know what? Set that aside. Set the question about money aside. Was it smart in retrospect to basically not have a primary, to just sort of act like, well, Winsome Sears is the heir apparent, so she's going to go ahead and become the nominee? What would have happened if we actually had a contested primary, if Jason Miyares had decided to contest her? Somewhere along the line, people got into a room and decided, nope, let's just do the chain of command and the succession plan here.
Okay, well, I mean, I think it's always a question, but look, it's impossible to know the answer to that. And I would like to come back to the money because I think the money piece is really significant. Okay. At last count, Spanberger had raised $65 million to win some $35 million. I mean, you cannot deny the importance of that kind of spending. And you also have to ask, why are people spending that kind of money in Virginia on the Virginia races? And look, I've watched this trend for a long time. A lot of the radical left, the progressive left, their websites declare it. They have had their sights on Virginia because they know that Virginia has a real impact on what goes on in Washington, D.C. So they have really invested heavily in Virginia. The question to me is, and this is what I have to wake up saying, right, because I'm the chair of the Fairfax GOP, but to me the real question is, okay, so now what do we do? And I think the important thing is, we don't give up in despair. We don't walk away from this fight. We get up, we dust off, and we say, what can we do better and what can we do more of? And frankly, I think this is going to be really mobilizing for a lot of people. Too many people have turned their backs, especially on Northern Virginia, and said, oh, Fairfax is impossible. But here's the bottom line. If we can't win back at least a bigger part of Fairfax, we will never win back Virginia. So I say, put on the armor, let's get back to work.
Abigail Spanberger ran against Donald Trump, and she got an assist from the Senate Democrats who kept the government shut down, which added to sort of the disgruntled malaise anger amongst Fairfax County voters. Do you think it would have been different if Trump had actually engaged? She ran against Trump, but Trump didn't run against her. He barely even participated in this election.
Well, I 100% think you're right that it was Spanberger against Trump. I mean, I worked as an election officer yesterday, so I was in the polls. I was hearing and seeing voters all day long. Here, especially in Northern Virginia, we have the largest population of federal workers anywhere are here in Northern Virginia, and they 100% are feeling both the DOJ cuts, that is a very big part of the narrative, and they're feeling the shutdown. And I think those things were definitely a factor. Would it have made a difference if Trump had come out, for example, what a lot of people wanted, we really wanted Trump to come out and campaign for Winsome. But I don't know in the end if that really would have made a difference. Virginia, especially Northern Virginia, we have a very highly educated Democrat base here. I think, if anything, it just could have galvanized them more. So I'm not sure that was really the linchpin to this race.
All right. Katie, can you just stick with us just for I want to talk about some of the other races, especially the Jay Jones race and the feeling that people have right now waking up thinking that maybe their neighbor is okay with some sort of
gotta make us feel better
against them. Yeah. So we're gonna pick Katie's brain a little bit more. Also, we'll share with you Winsome Sears' speech last night, some of the things that she said. She's a good person. She's a classy person. Don't know if she's a great candidate, though. We'll get into all that in a moment. It's 7:15 WMAL.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
We continue with Katie Gorka, chairwoman of the GOP in Fairfax County. And let's, before we get to the Jay Jones question, pick up where I just left off. I like Winsome Sears. Very pleasant person. I've been able to interact with her here on the air and privately now and again. She's a good person. I don't think she's a good candidate. I've seen her in action, and she was not able, in my opinion, to turn the Jay Jones story and the trans issue from merely an attack on Abigail Spanberger. She was effective at the debate, turning it as an attack on her. But unlike Glenn Youngkin, she was unable to make it about me. She was unable to make it about the parents and the voters and come back and say, this is what Jay Jones thinks about you. How do you think he'll treat you? Abigail Spanberger standing with him. How do you think that's going to affect you? Will she treat you? she doesn't want you to have a seat at the table with these trans issues. That's your children. She talks about her children. What about your children? Do you see what I'm saying? Again, I don't mean this to be criticism of Winsome Sears, but we need good politicians, not just good people.
I hear what you're saying, but again, I'm not sure I would agree because, look, I was at so many campaign events with her. I actually think she did a really good job, and I watched her grow as a candidate, and she got better and better. Look, and compared to her, Spanberger was like an automaton. I mean, I think, talk about bad candidates. I think Spanberger was a terrible candidate. But the bottom line is I still really believe that it was bigger issues, bigger trends at work here. I think it was a lot of, suffering the consequences of the Doge cuts and the shutdown. And, let's not forget, this is the historic pattern for decades that in Virginia, this race, which always follows a year after the presidential race, it always flips to the other party. I will say, for me, what's most shocking is that the stuff that came out against Jay Jones was not enough to knock him out of the race. But I just think people voted down the ticket and they were not willing to abandon their sort of tribal loyalties to elect the better candidates. And I'm telling you what, Jay Jones, people are going to pay the price, not just for his progressive politics, but for his incompetence. He does not have the experience for this job. And it's going to hurt everyday Virginians when they see crime on the rise.
Look, speaking of the puppy kicker, I am so disturbed that Jay Jones was elected. I think a lot of people are, and I think there's this idea, and I see what you're saying that, look, they were just supporting the whole ticket. I also think that there's a lot of people that voted for him early before those text messages came out. And I think a lot of people didn't know about those text messages for whatever reason. They're just not listening to the right news outlets. But the bottom line is that there are people in Virginia who kind of don't think that's a big deal, that are okay with political violence. And they polled on that. And it showed that there is a segment of Democrats who are okay with political violence towards people who disagree with you. How do we fix that, Katie?
Julie, I agree with you. And I'll tell you where I really saw it was the stories that I heard from our volunteers who were working as greeters. I mean, this whole year, the rise in attacks, in actually some of them physical, the violence. I mean, we had a volunteer at the other day working at a local library, and somebody actually rammed her car in the parking lot because she had political bumper stickers. Yeah, but there have been so many stories, and some of them actually caught on video of really unhinged Democrats coming up and just screaming in the face of Republicans. And I agree with you. That is the bigger problem, and that is scary. And I'm not really sure how we fix that.
Yeah.
Well, with an eye toward the future, many people are evaluating yesterday's results as some sort of harbinger of doom for the 2026 midterm elections. Your job begins today to identify candidates to run in Northern Virginia and identify the right kind of Republicans who might be able to actually be a firewall against some sort of sweeping blue wave. What kind of candidate can win as a Republican in these districts in the midterms? Who are you looking for? What kind of person?
Yeah. Well, I have to say, first of all, we still do have one more election in the short term because we've got a special election here in Fairfax County in the Braddock District. Because James Walkinshaw, who was the supervisor, became our congressman, we have a candidate there, Ken Balbuena, who's running for that special election. Again, that's Braddock District, and the deadline for that, the actual election is December 9th. Early voting is already going on. I think Ken is a great candidate because here's someone who's been really engaged in his community for a long time. He's got, an incredible record of public service. Maybe that's the way you have to go is more focused on, service to the community, less ideological. I don't know. I don't know what's going to move the needle here in Fairfax County, but I think we've got to get candidates who are really willing to work hard, engage with voters. But honestly, I also think it's on us. We have to figure out the information piece, right? Until we can do a better job of getting the truth out about these other, about the Democrat candidates, I think we're going to keep losing. So, personally, I'll just give one example. I think investing more in local media. Look, you guys do an incredible job. WMAL is so, so great, but I also feel like you're kind of alone in this fight, right? There aren't many voices like yours out there.
Well, and just to follow up on that, Katie, you might want to let the campaigns know going forward. You're right. We do a good job, and we do cover it. And we only had one of the statewide candidates advertising on this station toward the end during this election. Oh yeah,
yeah. Because I actually heard. I think it was Winsome, right? Was it Winsome?
No, it was Jason Miyares, the one who came closest.
Okay, because I was going to say I heard his ad on your show and I thought it was great. So yeah. I'm surprised to hear that. That's interesting. Okay, we'll have to talk to our candidates. They need to be advertising on WMAL for sure.
Well, and again, this isn't an appeal for revenue. I'm just following up. You said, listen, we got to invest in local media. Yeah, literally. That's you got to get the message out.
100%. You got to get to. You got to. Voters have to hear from you. Yeah.
Thanks, Katie Gorka. Tough day, but I appreciate you coming in and sort of facing what happened yesterday, a shellacking, as has been said in the past, and then you move forward. Thanks, Katie.
You don't give up, 100%.
Never.
Thanks,
we can't
Larry
give up. We
Julie.
love this country, and we love the Commonwealth way too much. It is
absolutely
7:24.
Coming up, we're going to talk to Tim Holbert. He's president of the American Veterans Center. They've got a conference coming up, and it's free to listen to some of the speakers. We'll tell you all about it. 7:30.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now. Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
7:37, O'Connor and Company. Thanks for tuning in here the day after the election that, is not a good day for Republicans. Here, New Jersey, New York. Coming up at 8:05, Mark Halperin, longtime political reporter and analyst, will give us some insight into his town, New York City, as well as New Jersey, as we've been talking about Virginia quite a bit. And by the way, to that end, Julie Gunlock, before I forget, I do want to point out, I learned just now, the Winsome Sears governor campaign did, in fact, in the final days of the election, like literally within the last week, they did start some advertising on this radio station, and I just wanted to make sure that I cleared the record. It should also be noted that voting began September 15th. So just wanted to make sure the facts were out there. I misspoke. I didn't notice. I'll be honest with you. I'm sorry. I didn't notice that those ads started running in the final days. Joining us right now, Tim Holbert, president of the American Veterans Center. The 28th Annual American Valor Heroes Conference will be in D.C. on November 7th and 8th, and that obviously is a prelude to Veterans Day next week. And it's a big year, Tim, considering it's the 250th birthday of the Army and the Navy and the Marines. Thank you so much for joining us, sir, and thanks for what you do.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
So I've learned now that this conference that you do, again, the 28th Annual American Valor Heroes Conference, is actually going to be open to the public free of charge. Is that right?
That's right. For the first time, we're opening it up to anybody who might be interested in coming out for it. Huge year this year, as you noted, the 250th birthday of the military. But this, of course, is the 80th anniversary of victory in World War II this year. And we're thrilled to be joined by dozens of heroes from the last 80 years of history, but more than 30 surviving World War II veterans and Rosie the Riveters, veterans from D-Day, Iwo Jima, fighter pilots, bomber pilots from the war. Just an incredible mix of history, and really excited for it. And we're opening it up for anybody who might like to come on out.
Well, tell us what one would expect at the conference. What do you do? What goes on?
Absolutely. So it's 2 full days of speaker panels right here in Washington at the Omni Shoreham Hotel, focusing on these incredible stories from history. So you can come out and listen to the history makers themselves and meet them. Again, all these heroes from World War II, but also from Korean War, veterans of the epic Battle of Chosin Reservoir 75 years ago this year. The Battle of Ia Drang in Vietnam, the first big battle 60 years ago. We'll have veterans from there. Stories from September 11th, some really harrowing stories, and then post 9/11 operations as well, some of the big history makers and stories there too. So you come out, listen to the stories, meet the heroes after. It's truly a spectacular weekend.
This is such an important thing for young, I don't want to say young kids, but actually young adults, and actually teenagers, I think, because they're not hearing these sorts of stories in schools. Do you anticipate some young people coming to this event?
Absolutely. And that's really the mission of it, is to take this history and not just record it and preserve it while they're with us, but to connect them to our future leaders. That's actually traditionally the audience is made up of ROTC and military academy students from across the country who come in for it. Still have a number of them this year, but of course with the shutdown going on, it has impacted some of the schools' abilities to be there. So that's why we have the opportunity to open it up to the general public to attend this year as well. But we'll still have a lot of kids coming out there to really learn firsthand their own history to take it forward.
Right.
Well, what do you think right now is the biggest challenge, biggest issue to our veterans? I mean, often it's issues at the VA. We saw disasters there during the second term of the Obama administration where things really reached a point of crisis at the VA. It seems like in many respects they've corrected that, but there's still issues there. Is it just that? A lot of times our veterans get sort of reduced down and boiled down to just the VA services, and their concerns go deeper than that, don't they?
Absolutely. Well, from our perspective, what we do here is focus on that history and that service, and really, I think it's that concern that the next generation will want to stand up and defend that legacy that so many have served for. Again, we've known, thousands of World War II veterans over the years. And again, with, still more than 30 coming out this weekend, we knew the last of the World War I veterans before, and that lineage, that willingness to want to stand up and serve for what we all believe in as Americans. I think obviously that's one of the things that concerns so many of them most, is that we still believe in the country and what has made us great for 250 years.
Well, again, it's this weekend, right? November 7th and 8th? It's
exactly right. It's at the Omni Shoreham Hotel here in D.C. If you go to AmericanVeteranCenter.org, you can see the full schedule and learn how to register. You can also shoot us an email at conference@abcmail.org. And we can get you registered to come on out all day, November 7th and 8th. Just have a chance to immerse yourself with some real heroes in history.
Very cool. And a great way to spend the weekend here. And I agree with Julie. Young adults and kids, by the way, should go and really gain some respect for those who have allowed us to continue to enjoy our freedoms in this country. Thank you so much for joining us, Tim Holbert of the American Veterans Center, and have a great conference this weekend.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
It's now 7:43.
Later this morning on the Chris Plante Show, tallying the results out of Virginia and New York City. How are the commies doing? 9 a.m. on WMAL.
Commies are doing pretty well. We'll look forward to Chris Plante's show coming up at 9 a.m. Julie, we got reports yesterday during the election results rolling in as we were watching the Democrats roll in this off-year election, that it appears as though there may be a break in the dam with the government shutdown. I know
Isn't that amazing, Claire?
Shocking. It's just shocking. I'm sure there's no connection at all. Yes, Democrats wanted to inflict pain and misery and make people angry and upset and frustrated and just feel like, the hell with them. Anyone who's in charge right now, I'm voting against them. And, of course, that helped. That helped Democrats. And, of course, Democrats continue to lie about the shutdown. Here's another example. In real time, during the results yesterday, here's Hakeem Jeffries on CNN yesterday Take a listen to Cut 16.
Mr. Leader, you guys are voting no on opening the government, not Republicans. I know you're asking for specific things, and it's much more complicated than that. We'll get to that in 1 second.
Hold on a second, Dana, because let's just be clear about that. Okay. American people clearly understand who's responsible for shutting down the government.
Yeah, but you said they shut down the government.
They did shut down the government.
Yeah, they didn't shut down the government. Even Dana Bash would say, yeah, it's really complicated. I know, and there's more things here. And Hakeem Jeffries just flat out lied.
Oh, yeah.
Saying, you need to be understand who's responsible for this. No, it's amazing. The Democrats' message this entire time has been, you're not, you who have the majorities and who won all of the elections just a year ago, you need to bend a knee, bow down, kiss our ring, and acquiesce to every one of our demands. Otherwise, we won't fund the government with you. And they say that's Republicans' fault. And they've gotten away with it, of course, because of the feckless behavior of people like Dana Bash. And now that they got what they wanted, which was finally a victory, they haven't had one in a couple of years, they're ready to open. And later this morning, like in 45 minutes, President Trump will be meeting with all of the Republican senators at the state dining room in the White House for a breakfast. Part of it will be open to the public. I'm suspecting there will be a lot of discussion about Zohran Mamdani and painting Democrats as communists. And Trump, Julie, continues to say the Republicans should do away with the filibuster to just end this thing. But I don't know if that's a wise decision.
No, I don't either. And honestly, Larry, I really hope we don't see any kind of caving on the part of Republicans now. They've won. Democrats got what they want. They can own this. They can continue to own this. They are the party in power at this point, at least at the state level. Let them own this. Let them own I mean, honestly, there better not be any caving to this, to their demands.
Yeah.
Because this will only convey to them, this works. Hold the American public hostage. Rely on our media buddies to say that it's the Republicans' fault, and then we get elected. Don't let them get away with this.
Let me just offer a alternative perspective on this idea of the filibuster, because I know that all the smart people in town, all the people who know way more than me with regard to politics and how things work, when Trump says do away with the filibuster, they say no, we can't do that because then Democrats, when they get into power, they'll take advantage of it. After all, that's what we did when Harry Reid did away with the filibuster when he wanted to have his way. And I get that. I do. But who are we kidding? Democrats literally planned on doing this a couple of years ago. They actually advanced legislation that would have done away with the filibuster. Were it not for Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema standing in the way, they would have done it. We already know that they will do away with the filibuster, and now Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin are gone. And what will they do if they do away with the filibuster? They will give D.C. statehood, they will give Puerto Rico statehood, and they will stack the Supreme Court. And they've already told us they will do it. So Republicans doing away with the filibuster right now, preemptively, so that we can get some things done before they take power, might not be too bad an idea. It might, I mean, honestly.
It's very Vancian what you're saying here. Vance in that speech recently said we can't be afraid to do things because the Democrats are going to do it. They will.
They already have.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like telling Trump, don't investigate Democrats because then they might investigate Republicans. They prosecuted the top of our ticket and tried to keep him off the ballot. Yeah. So, but part of me, and again, I know all of the smart money, insiders who guarantee me that this is a horrible idea to do away with the filibuster. I just need you to answer that question before you fire off the email to me or text or tweet or whatever it is you're going to do. First, answer this question. What makes you think Democrats aren't already going to do that, considering the fact that they just tried it and it only took two of them, their own, to stop them? And they're gone now. They're gonna. What do you mean, oh, gosh, then they'll take it? No. If we don't get away with the filibuster, they will. And I'm having trouble reconciling that reality.
So depressing.
It's 7:53.